I would like to say a few words before I start with the questions. I realize that some of my questions may seem strange to the people who sit here and who are already committed and already know or convinced they know all the answers to these questions. However, I am writing this interview for people who view this movement and you not with complete understanding and sometimes even with suspicion. So I would like people here to understand that the questions are not meant in any way to offend, but to clear questions that exist in the minds of people who are not yet convinced and who don't know much about this movement. I'm here already for 3 days, and from discussions with people, I heard many stories about your capability of work, about your vision. Most of these stories come to hinting, if not saying clearly, that you have divine powers. Have you such powers?
Everyone has divine powers. Physics has found out that the vacuum state, which is the state of least excitation, is present in all the excited states. So there is some deep silence which is present in all activity of the universe. And that silence is the source of all activity. It is the home of all the laws of nature. It's the home of all knowledge. So some people call that silence, that lively silence, the basis of all life. Some people call it divine. So that divine state of least excitation present in all the excited states. So divine power is present everywhere. So everyone should feel he is divine and he has divine power.
Even if he didn't reach this state of silence?
Now there should not be anyone in the world who should not be able to reach that silent level of consciousness, because transcendental meditation is just that effortless natural procedure which silences the activity of the mind in a very, very natural way.
But it is a fact, though, that most people did not reach this level, and I assume that you did reach. That means that you have powers that other people, that most people do not have.
That all people can have now.
If they reach this stage.
And if we can take away now in this scientific age, the thing is that anyone who can run can certainly stand still. So the ability to stand still is contained in the ability to run. Like that, if the mind can be active, then it can certainly be silent. Activity of the mind is based on its ability to be silent. To be silent is easier for the mind than to be active, just as it's easier for a man to stand still than to run. And just because everyone can think, everyone can have his mind quietened down.
What will this world look like with everybody being divine?
Then the devil will not be found. the
will God be found?
Problems will...
Is there a place for God in such a world?
Then the will of God will be done on earth as in heaven. Religions say. See, what is the will of God? Just as what is the will of the government in any part of the world? the law of the country is the will of the government. Like that, what is the will of God? The law of God, the laws of nature. And if one can follow the laws of nature, he is following the will of God. And where is the seat of the laws of nature? Quantum physics gives us. Physics teaches us that that state of silence, that vacuum state, is the home of all the laws of nature, because from that silent level all activity begins. So that home of all the laws of nature has been discovered by science now. And through transcendental meditation, one can quieten down mental activity and take one's awareness to that silent level of consciousness, which is the home of all the laws of nature. And through daily practice of transcendental meditation, and that silence becomes established in one's awareness. With that silence becoming established, the home of all the laws of nature is captured. So when the awareness has captured the home of all the laws of nature, then every activity of the awareness, that means every desire, every understanding, every perception, every behavior, will be in accordance with the laws of nature. And this, in the religious sense, is working out the will of God. If one man can act in accordance with all the laws of nature, then he will not make mistakes. His activity will always be evolutionary, good for himself and good for his fellow men. So in this way, through transcendental meditation, the ability to act in accordance with the laws of nature develops.
Don't the laws of nature also include hatred and anger and the will to fight and other things that you want to eliminate from the world? Is it possible? Is it not part of the human nature?
It's the part of a stressed human nature to be angry or to be negative or to not succeed, get shrouded by problems. It's not the part of good human nature. It's not the part of free human nature. It's a part of stressed, bound human nature that one begins to feel hatred or suffering or negativity. All that belongs to the, as you brought out very beautiful point, this is also from the law of nature. There is a law of nature which works when the mind is stressed. There is another law of nature that works when the mind is not stressed. All working of the mind is always according to the laws of nature. Only just like the laws of prisons are different than the laws of the stores, market. One goes freely, exchange, freely behave, do what you want. In the prison you can't do anything. So when the mind is gripped by stresses and strains, all boundaries become very, very vital. One cannot have wider comprehension. One is not free. So under those circumstances, different kinds of laws of nature undertake life. Then the life is through hatred and through negativity and through suffering. So this is what the science has done to us in this scientific age. It has opened our awareness to the home of all the laws of nature, and the science of creative intelligence has brought out this transcendental meditation, whereby that home of all the laws of nature can be stabilized in our awareness, with the result that one does not violate the laws of nature. Spontaneously, one works only in accordance with the laws of nature. In this way, one gets out of the grip of those laws of nature which are not helpful to evolution.
Still, if there is stress in the world, if there is hatred, if there are wars, Doesn't that mean that God wanted it to be that way, and that in a way you are challenging God in that respect?
It's the other way. Because just as...
God challenges you.
No, just... just as a father would never want a child to suffer or to do this or to do this. So if a child suffers, and if the father is a very competent person, then the suffering child brings shame to his father. If the father is a millionaire and the child goes around with torn clothes and all, he brings a shame to his family. Just like that, it was never the intention of God. It can never have been the intention of God that his creation would suffer. If he is almighty, or if he were almighty in the past, he would never have created a life to suffer. Because just as a millionaire would never have a son who would be poor, because it's the joy of the millionaire to have his son multimillionaire. So God would always like his creation to enjoy more and more and more and more. Just as father is always fond of his children to be more educated. If they can be more educated than him, he'll be happier. If the children could become wealthier than him, he would be happier. If someone's son becomes the president of the country, he is very happy. He would never be jealous of his son because he has become higher than him. So God, like the great Father, would never have created man to suffer.
I see, again, observing what for 2 days or for 3 days this place and what is going on around here, it seems though that the people around you do regard you as somebody who is above the common human being. They will listen to every word of yours, will be almost absolute, and every and
that's very fortunate for the world, you know. And the thing is, what we are...
what I wanted to ask, I was leading to a certain question.
All right.
There are people who are who feel in a way offended by this. People who don't think that there is a room to treat other human beings that way. And it seems to me that it is not your wish that you will be treated that way, and that in a way you are being done, you and the movement, a disservice in this respect. Would you please comment on that?
I don't follow what you say. What is the meaning?
What I mean is,
in what way?
What I mean is that talking to people outside the circles of this movement, I heard many times the claim that this is a movement that worships a human being, and in that respect that it is wrong. And coming here and observing, there is a certain truth to it. And this offends many people. It makes it difficult for them to get closer to this movement.
I think it's the other way. What this movement brings is a simple, natural, effortless procedure to own the home of all the laws of nature. And those who begin to enjoy that owning the home of all the laws of nature, they begin to enjoy the fulfillment of their desires. And when they begin to fulfill desires, it's very natural for them to appreciate the teaching. It's very natural for them to appreciate the tradition. Say a man goes to the restaurant and appreciates the restaurant if the food is always good there. And if the people begin to be fond of the restaurant, it's no fault of the restaurant.
But still,
the restaurant is very simple. It only produces good, delicious meals as any other restaurant is expected to produce. So he's doing nothing other than doing his simple duty.
yeah, but when I'm going to a restaurant and get good meal, I pay and I go out. I don't worship the chef.
And whenever you happen to meet some restaurant server, maybe in the aeroplane sitting by your side, immediately you recognize him. Oh, how good to see your restaurant! And you always appreciate something that you enjoy.
There is a difference between appreciation and... Sorry.
Here what we have is supreme knowledge of life. That has eliminated the basis of suffering. See, suffering comes from violation of the laws of nature. Anyone could be trained to own the home of all the laws of nature. He is out of suffering. No possibility. So something or some place or some principle, some organization who gives this supreme knowledge, scientifically validated, practically enjoyable and all that, the people naturally are sold out to it. So there is nothing of feeling offended or nothing of worshipping a person. I hardly had time to have time to see who is worshipping or who is ignoring or what. Or so many throughout the world there has been so much written about. 1 out of 1,000 articles come to my knowledge just because I don't see what people think of me. I have absolutely not enough time to spread the good that comes from transcendental meditation. Where is the time to look how many people say or feel what about me? And they're a very superficial thing. No?
It is evident, however, that this movement is very much based on your personality and your inspiration.
I think this is based not on me, but the simplicity that it has, naturalness that it has. Completely natural, completely simple. There is no complications in our movement. We all sit together like that, talk, and someone says something and someone says something. It's a very, very democratic situation around.
But this whole work is under your inspiration. My question was...
the source of inspiration is one, my master, that is always there, and the other is the smiling faces that come around, bring the news from all the different parts of the world of their success teaching transcendental meditation. But it's a very beautiful situation.
Yes, I agree, but your master is giving his message, I guess, through you.
Yeah.
And the people are smiling to you. So we again come to you, and my question is...
And one goes to the restaurant over and over again. And
no, but this is not my question. My question is, what do you think will happen with this movement, how it will continue when the time comes and you will pass away?
I think it will work better. Because all the hundreds of people use their time around me. Now they'll have time to spread it all around. So it'll be many times more powerful.
Even without your inspiration?
Inspiration, the momentum has been gained. Once the rocket is fired and it has gained the momentum, it just keeps going and keeps going and keeps. So by now, with all these about 10,000 teachers in the world and about 1 million people meditating, that momentum of orderliness has already been created in the world's atmosphere, and this will take the world on betterment steps of higher evolution for centuries, I would say. That very great tempo has been generated already.
This movement and the way it is operated and the way the spirit remind me of many pioneering movements who started that way, only have deteriorated when they became big and they were spread all over the world and they had many members. Then they started with politics, with money, and so on and so on. Aren't you worried about what will happen to this movement when it becomes really a big movement?
I think it's already very big. Now we have an empire in the world. And this came out of a paper from Washington. The Washington Post wrote an article saying TM Empire.
You should never believe the papers.
In my simplicity, I take the press to be the mirror of the nation. Mirror. The press only mirrors the consciousness of the city or of the nation. It's a very innocent mirror. As I call the press, is the innocent mirror of the time. It voices the value of the time. And then, because knowledge is different in different states of consciousness, anything that comes to me, I take it to on the very high level of its reality. I don't mind from where it comes, as long as it has come to me, it must be rewarded with very high evaluation. So it is this Washington Post that inspired me to create a world government. And there is no danger for the world government to slip off, because the domain of the world government, the sovereignty of the world government, is the domain of consciousness. And as long as this movement is dedicated or remains dedicated to maintain higher state of consciousness in society, it can never deteriorate, because consciousness is something that is eternal, unbounded, universal, and therefore this world government will be maintaining the higher state of consciousness in society, and on that basis it will maintain the age of enlightenment all over.
I have listened to one of the tapes where you describing how a nation should work towards a situation where it won't have to defend itself by making sure that the missiles will stay on the ground. In other words, by making sure that the atmosphere will be different and there won't be any reasons for war. But in Israel, in the Middle East, we have a certain situation where the enemies are already there. It's not a matter of just now trying to create a new atmosphere. The atmosphere is already there, and there were already 4 wars in the area, and our neighbors are not willing so far to make peace with us. What would you then offer in Israel, to Israel?
Transcendental meditation in Israel, adopted by 1 or 2% of the population of the country, and the attitude of the enemies around will change. This I am saying on the basis of what has been seen now in about 500 cities in the world today. When the number of people practicing transcendental meditation rises to about 1% of a city population, crime rate goes down, the negative tendencies are neutralized, and sickness goes down, and accidents go down.
But in the Middle East, we don't have any communications with our neighbors, not whatsoever. So how are we going to influence them?
See, there is a word in physics, infinite correlation. Infinite correlation. Now that quiet state of consciousness gained through transcendental meditation is infinite correlation. And in the infinite correlation level, that is from the level of pure consciousness, the communication is most ideal. Ideal in the sense that there is frictionless flow of message, frictionless flow of intention, of thought, that the thought makes its way without losing its energy on the way. No friction, frictionless flow. And in this way, whatever the people of Israel will feel, the nation, Israeli nation, whatever it will feel when 1% of the people, 2% of the people are practicing transcendental meditation, whatever the intention, it will find its way in the hearts of all the people, far and near. It's the whole consciousness, the quality of consciousness of the nation has to be built up, and what we will find is enemies coming to shake hands, bringing gifts and become friendly.
But this obviously cannot be achieved overnight or over a month or over a year. What until then?
It can be achieved within a week. There is nothing today which can't be achieved, and this we say on the basis of these, what I said, about 500 cities in the world today have already shown statistics of crime, criminal tendencies going down. Enemy means just criminal tendency. So if the criminal tendency of 500 cities can go down by 1% of the people practicing transcendental meditation in other parts of the world, why can't it happen in Israel?
But the crime rate has gone down. If you apply it to war, it will mean that we will not lose the next war in 100%, we'll lose it in 80%, which is not good for us anyway.
No. If we find that some percent of the darkness can be removed by putting a candle, we put a few more around and we remove the darkness.
How can this be? You said it can be achieved in a week. How can
in
this be
a
achieved
week?
in a week?
Just what is the population of
3 million.
3 million. What we need is 30,000.
And this will affect the
It will affect the tendencies, the thinking, the understanding, the emotions of not only the those who are supposed to be enemies of Israel today, but even the friends of Israel. Israel must have understood, must have experienced that friends today may not be a friend tomorrow when the need friendship comes. So all this friendship and enmity is a very volatile reality.
to be on the safe side.
Just as friends can be non-friends tomorrow, enemies can be non-enemies tomorrow. It's only a matter of the quality of national consciousness which can be raised overnight.
To be on the safe side, we would like to have a counterpart to God in the Arab countries, though. We would like them to have the 1% as well. As far as I know, there is...
Arabs or whatever other countries, it is just the thinking. And if in a community 1% of the people practicing transcendental meditation can quietly change the attitudes of the criminals, next day they come out. Maybe when they went to sleep, they were thinking of making a plot against that person. In the morning they come out, they forget about the plot. If they meet him on the road, shake hands, he's a friend now.
But this is
If this miracle can be created in a community, same miracle can be can be witnessed in any country today.
But this is in a community where they live together, where they communicate, it's the same city or the same country. In Israel, we have no communication with our neighbors whatsoever. The borders are closed. No Arab is coming from the Arab countries to Israel, and no Israeli is going to the Arab countries.
No.
So how is Israel going to influence, how is this going to influence over the border?
No. The borders don't exist today in reality. They are only a kind of psychological thing. You can take, the border could remain here and all. You can take a helicopter and go behind the border. The border don't have
If you go
much.
behind the border in the Middle East with an helicopter, you don't come back.
Then we don't go till we are invited on some celebrations. 1%, give me 1% of the people meditating in Israel and I give you the whole of the Middle East.
That's his job.
No, you have to have two.
Well, that's what I'm doing now.
1%, just 1% of the people and the country is invincible. And I'm quite sure even the military. The military, who is in charge of protecting the country, has now to adopt a more effective means of defense. And more effective means of defense will mean that disallow the birth of an enemy. And if he is born, nib at the bud. That is the philosophy of transcendental meditation. It's not the philosophy of pessimism, it's the philosophy of successful dynamism. It's a philosophy of power. We take 20 minutes rest in the morning and evening and we come out very clear and powerful. So the philosophy of transcendental meditation is the philosophy of strength. It's the philosophy of making the country invincible. Only that country can be invincible who knows the procedure of not creating enemy around him. And that is this technique of functioning in accordance with the laws of nature so that we are not punished by nature.
But is it possible that meditation will be the answer to almost everything?
We can remove the word almost. Just because activity according to the laws of nature will take away all the negativity. It will bring all success because nature is almighty. Now look at to our situation. All these technological and engineering and scientific advancements that we have today, they are there just because we have learned to make use of some laws of nature. Chemistry told us something, we made some medicines, so many diseases are out. Physics brought some laws of nature, all these electronics, computers, and the whole of the industry has developed. So by using some laws of nature, so much of advancement have been made in civilization. What will happen if we can make use of the home of all the laws of nature? There will be no limit to progress and advancement. By use of some laws of nature, we can make such great headway in our civilization. Life is so much happier and more comfortable today than ever before. And now is the time to make use of all the laws of nature. There will be no limit to progress and development in the world. That is why it's no exaggeration when the teachers of transcendental meditation say that transcendental meditation is a solution to all problems. People in the world are still the same people who have so many problems and don't find solution to one problem. When they hear something is there like a magic, one solution to all problems, it's difficult for them to understand. But in the age of science, miracles are happening every day. A new discovery comes. Huh? No one would have thought a few years ago that man could jump on the moon. And man has jumped many, many times. This science is producing miracles after miracles, unbelievable miracles. So this also is a miracle of our scientific age, that there is one thing which makes a man capable of functioning according to all the laws of nature, and therefore this is one solution to all problems.
I've seen another tape about governments, about the effect of meditation on governments. And my question is whether this applies also to dictatorships.
To all governments. Whether he is a dictator or a parliamentarian president or whatever, the head of state is like a, what we say, is like a football or a volleyball maybe.
Football is better, it's more popular in Israel.
Yes. So one kick here and one kick here and one kick here and one kick here. This is the situation of a government. It's the individual consciousness that produces influence, and the government goes by the effect that the individuals produce in the country. Government has no mind of its own. It's the mind which we call national consciousness. Government works with national consciousness, and national consciousness is composed of the consciousness of different provinces. Maybe some province is an agricultural province, the other province is a mining province, the third is an industrial province. So agricultural influence comes from that province, mining influence comes from, industrial influence comes from here. All these influences come together, and together they make the mind of a government.
But the dictator usually got his dictatorship, or is working, is doing against the will of the people.
No.
Usually, otherwise he wouldn't need a dictatorship. He wouldn't need to keep his people in line all the time.
The existence of a dictator shows that the country has been chaotic. There is no orderliness in the thinking. Someone thinks this way, the other way thinks this way, the other way thinks this way, the third way thinks this way.
The democracy has failed in this
That
country.
democracy has failed, and the national consciousness is in a very disturbed situation. So whosoever is the strongest man, national consciousness finds its seat on that mind, and that mind works dictated by the national consciousness. Whatever the head of state does, or whatever a parliament does, any act of a government is the act according to the destiny of the nation, produced by the individual activity. So it is the individual who governs the government. Individual consciousness is the unit of national consciousness. That is why the governments, with all the authority and resources and intelligence, no government has succeeded in creating an ideal society, because the government does not work from its own value. It works motivated by the consciousness of the whole nation taken together. World government, which we have formulated now, focuses its attention on the unit of a national government, the consciousness of the individual, and makes it expanded, unfolds it to its full potential. And full potential of individual consciousness is unbounded, that home of all the laws of nature. And in this way, the world government now is going to provide to all the governments a very strong basis of action. Now we'll see that every government will succeed more in their aspirations, will be more constructive, they'll achieve more, they'll be making more progress just because the world government is improving the quality of world consciousness. The focus of the world consciousness is the individual consciousness. But individuals, lots of individuals in the world will produce a very beautiful quality of world consciousness, and this world consciousness of a better quality will induce in all the national consciousness everywhere a power of greater achievement.
I witnessed with at least some meditators that it's not quite clear whether they got benefit from meditation or whether they smile and seem happy because they are told that if they will meditate, they will smile and feel happy. How much is, if at all, is there psychology in this whole phenomena? I mean, you tell people that if they'll do that, then they will feel in a certain way, and they go and do it, and they are convinced that they have to feel now that in that certain way.
It is the scientific experiments that have built this psychological influence in the world. Scientific experiment telling the people that physiology becomes better and psychology becomes better, behavior becomes better, and they bring the proof. So this building up of the psychological, emotional feeling that they are doing something wonderful and they are going to be better, this is on the basis of scientific research.
But there are scientists who differ with your findings.
They haven't done experiments.
They haven't done experiments, you know.
Must be done.
No one can differ from the beautiful effects of transcendental meditation. You know?
I think I have read in, and since we decided to believe newspaper tonight, I think I've read in Time magazine that a few scientists did made some research. Is it right? Was it Time magazine? Yes, and they did some research and they came out not with that, I don't know if it was negative findings, but certainly not positive ones. I mean, their finding were that nothing happens. That's...
No. We don't think that such things have happened. And if they have happened, it's unbelievable. We can always doubt their methodology of research.
Yes.
Because something which is transcendental meditation is such a natural phenomenon. No one can say nothing happens.
Is it so that your research is handled mostly or maybe wholly by your own means in your universities?
This we started now when we had hundreds of scientific research already done all over. Then we thought we would now sit and investigate into the full potential of all the research that has been done. Meru has been started only last year, and scientific research is scientific research done anywhere.
Oh yeah,
90% of the scientific research on transcendental meditation has been done in independent research laboratories and universities throughout the world in more than 20, 30 countries in all 5 continents. So Meru and MIU just began to do experiments only a few years ago, and only about 10% of the studies are from the university here. And that is fantastic.
What had happened actually was, if the son of a physiologist starting meditation, and in a week he shows such remarkable good behavior and all, his father puts him to some physiological tests. Let me see what is happening to your brain, to your functioning of the pulse or whatever. And if someone's uncle is a scientist, and he saw his nephew becoming better, he said, "Come, let me see you." Like that, in all parts of the world, scientific experiments were done by completely independent people, just out of curiosity. And this is what the scientists are. If they see some phenomenon, try to explain it, and they discover such beautiful things.
Isn't there the phenomena that for meditators, the world is now not divided between good and bad people, smart and stupid people, intelligent and ignorant people, but between people who meditate and people who do not meditate.
People who are most of the time around me, when they go to Lucerne or to Zurich or somewhere, they come back and say, God forbid, I don't want to go in that atmosphere. It's not very comfortable. So the world is still tense and everyone recognizes it. Only those who begin to meditate feel better at home and even outside. They are able to bear this terrible atmosphere of stress.
But if they have to get out of home, they get stressed.
And then they come back home and neutralize it. They neutralize it better than those people who don't meditate.
I must tell you, Maharishi, a story. I have a mother-in-law who meditates. And I started meditating about a year and a half ago, and I stopped after 2 weeks. She saw me 2 months after that. She didn't know I stopped. So she said, you look wonderful. You don't know how much you changed.
So that means that effect of 1 week meditation, it lasted. I think that old proverb, well begun, is half done for life.
I must admit, this is the best answer I've heard so far.
Well begun is half done.
In general, Maharishi, are people who meditate, are they better, smarter, more capable than people who do not meditate?
Depending with whom we compare. There may be a very stressed man starting to meditate now. There may be a very peaceful man, he never meditated, he's born peaceful, a man born in higher consciousness. To that level of consciousness, this new meditator will take many years to reach. So we recognize people of higher consciousness in society, even when they have not yet had the chance of starting TM. Because there are levels of consciousness.
I was told that a few years ago you were asked to make a tape for Israel, and you weren't enthusiastic about it. And now you did agree to make a tape for Israel. Is there a special reason for it?
Now I got interested in every country. Having established a world government, now I'm thinking of countries. Before that, my mind was only on individuals, even though thinking of the country approach remains individual. But in my mind now, it's that 3 million people of Israel, 30 million people of Spain, 60 million people of England. Now I'm thinking of the countries as a whole. That's why, in the name of a country, I have more time now. In the name of the individuals, my mind is not attracted now. Whereas before, it was solely focused on the individual, and I say I would never bother about the political thing. This is how I used to put off. But now, I'm not concerned with the politics. I'm concerned with the large number of the people. Like that, countries, now countries. That's why you might feel some difference in attitude.
Would your ideal be that there would not be any borders, any nations, one world?
No. There'll be all borders, all different nations, different cultures. Only the cultures will be integrated. Cultures will be powerful. They would know how to maintain their integrity and yet be useful to the neighbor, and yet take maximum advantage from the neighbor, give maximum to the neighbor without becoming disintegrated. That is the quality of national life that gets built up through meditation. What has happened is these professors of Meru have developed some fundamentals, going deep into the implications of the scientific research. They have evolved certain fundamentals. So the fundamentals of cultural integrity, they indicate as stability, adaptability, integration, purification, and growth. And these, they indicate as fundamentals of progress also. Culture means progress. To culture means to progress. Progress means through the culture. So, stability, adaptability, integration, purification, and growth. These values, these qualities grow in the physiology of the individual, psychology, behavior, and in his environment. So when the national consciousness grows in these 5 values, then the culture of the country becomes highly integrated. Any influence that comes from outside, because stability is there, it's not able to shake the dignity of the nation. Because the adaptability is there, it's able to adopt it. Because the element of purification is lively, any influence coming from outside gets purified naturally. Only the life-supporting effect of it gets absorbed, integrated, and the life-damaging effect dies out. So with transcendental meditation, these 5 values developing, the culture of the country becomes integrated. Now, the situation as we have today is very precarious as far as the cultural integrity, safety of the cultural integrity is concerned. Means of communication, bringing the people from different countries to this country, intermixing of races, intermixing of habits and customs. It's so much that the integrity of every nation is in danger. Culture of every nation is not the same as it used to be before. The culture of every country is mixed up with the culture of every other country. The only way to bring back the life in every country to its original cultural status, the only way is to have some percentage of the people practicing transcendental meditation, and these 5 values growing in the life of the nation, the cultural integrity will be gained. And when the cultural integrity will be gained, the individual life and the life of the society will be in accordance with the laws of nature. Laws of nature will be spontaneously lived by the people. And this is highly necessary for survival and for progress both.
I've noticed that meditators greet each other like that. What does it mean?
They stand for unity. And there is a joy, a wave, something like that. The two come together, symbolic. And you say, Jai Gurudev. In the name of Gurudev, my master, and they greet each other. It's very natural.
Thank you very much, and I wish you best of luck. Thank you.
It has been a great joy, and I give my greetings to all the people of Israel and tell them now the invincibility is at dawn in Israel.
Thank you.